Oh, man. Brutal. Brutal. Auburn falls in game one of the Super Regional to Ole Miss.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Oh, man. I'm Zach Blackerby. He is Christian Rauh. Christian writes over at the Auburn Roundtable, hanging out as we react to Auburn's 6-4 loss against Ole Miss in game one of the Supers. In a game, Christian, where everything was just slightly off, whether it was Alvarez having just the wrong time to have those few bad pitches that resulted in it, or anytime Auburn would have, that line drive that you wanted, it went right to someone instead of the empty part of the field. I mean, that was just kind of the story of the night, and Ole Miss took advantage of it. I think that's the big takeaway here.
Yeah, Alvarez, for the most part, pitched pretty good. When you look at his stats, 107 pitches, he had 10 strikeouts, but there was just a small amount of moments where he couldn't capitalize, allows 5 earned runs in this one. And most of the time, that still is normally going to be okay. But in this one, we didn't get the consistent bats that we're looking for. And unfortunately, that's just not enough. And you wind up losing this one 6-4. Hey, our friends at FanDuel got it right. They were right around that number of, I think, 10.
They were. Yeah, over-under was 9.5 runs tonight. The bats, it's frustrating because, and a lot of people are complaining about the bats and 4 runs. We knew going into this 4 runs probably wouldn't be enough unless Alvarez pitched to Jim, which, he didn't. He gave up 5, which is uncharacteristic for him. But the bats had a shot early, and it's just, multiple times getting guys to third, and it's just, you can't consistently get them home. That's especially early. It seemed like they were all over the Ole Miss starter, but he did a good job of keeping them from crossing home. And that's the frustrating thing is we all have the joke of when, Hugh Freeze would talk about it's so close and it doesn't matter, but there were just a few things that were just a little bit off tonight, and Ole Miss was the benefactor of it.
Yeah, one thing that I was concerned about entering this one was that Ole Miss is very good at striking out batters. That's one thing that they've done really well all season. Auburn actually did a pretty decent job on that side of things, only struck out 7 times the entire outing. It's obviously not great, but it's not anything out of this world. It's not really an outlier when you put in consideration. Alvarez had 10 just all by himself. But what the Ole Miss starter did was he was efficient. He found himself going through deep into the game because he was only averaging about 13, 14 pitches per inning. And even though you're getting some sort of base traffic, just like you mentioned, they couldn't get far into it with runners in scoring position because he was always finding him with ground in a double play multiple times, things like that. It got really frustrating. And now you sit down 1 game, the exact same spot you're in than you were in regionals on Friday, but now you're right back into a win or go home situation.
That's right. And how will this team respond in that situation? We saw them answer the call last weekend. Will it be the same this weekend? And look, I think a lot of Auburn fans have been following this team for a while. It's hard not to think about Coastal this time a year ago, where a team that was known for pitching, Ole Miss kind of known for their pitching. I don't think their pitching staff this year is as good as Coastal's was last year. It's still really, really good. I still think Auburn did more offensively, though. The difference is just you left so many guys on early, and you had a chance. You had a chance to just take the starting pitcher out early and really open it up early, and you just couldn't. You all knew that was the recipe of how to get on this. We kind of saw that throughout the day in other super regionals. Wasn't a lot of close games. You had a chance to kind of join that, and just not being able to capitalize is the most frustrating thing.
Yeah, 2 innings in a row. I think it was the second and third innings where Auburn had bases loaded, and you only get 1 run out of that because you ground in the double plays twice on that one. And if you no matter what you want to do, if you give up 4 or 5 runs from your starter, and even if you get that base traffic, if you can't capitalize, you just can't win baseball games. It's just not going to happen that way. And of course, I don't know if it felt like the dagger to you, but I felt really good about Cormier coming in, and then that first pitch that first pitch, he takes one over the wall. He
Yeah,
settled
I
back in
thought it was weird
nicely,
they
but
pulled Alvarez when they did. I thought that was super, super strange. They walked a guy. He walked a guy, but like he threw a strike that was like a questionable, or it was questionable at least. It wasn't called a
very
strike, but
questionable.
I don't know. I don't really feel like he was losing it that much. So I was a little surprised they didn't try to like leave him in for one more out and then put Cormier in fresh off, the start of a new inning. But I don't know. I mean, it's easy to say that now, right? If he would have come in and struck somebody out, we'd be like, okay, yeah, great. Cormier is ready to go. But yeah, that did feel like a dagger. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, best case scenario, you obviously would love to see Cormier start a fresh inning himself, and especially after he looked on Friday last week when he kind of got punched in the mouth himself. Now he rebounded nicely at the end of the weekend. Hopefully, we can see that again if he does have to come back, which I don't know if he will.
Probably
He
not.
pitched 43 pitches, so probably not. But I agree. I think I would have loved to see Alvarez go at least one more time. He had 107 pitches, but this is the super regionals, right? This is where you are meant to go 107, 110, maybe possibly up to 115 if need be in these types of scenarios. He probably only, even if they go to Omaha, maybe he only has one, maybe two more starts at most this entire season. So I don't think it was because of volume. I think they just thought it was time to switch him out. But yeah, I would like to see him go one more.
Yeah. I mean, easy to say in hindsight, but all right. So what does Auburn need to do next outside of obviously win these next two we discuss in just a moment right here on Locked On Auburn? Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. Right now, you can bet, new customers can bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. Obviously, the NBA playoffs are happening right now. FanDuel's all over that, as well as lines and props all around college baseball and the World Series, College World Series. I'm curious to see. We probably won't see this until late this evening or maybe early tomorrow morning, but curious to see how the odds around Auburn are reflected. Can't imagine it will be positive, but yeah, we'll see. I'll post stuff on socials about it regardless. So head over to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. All right, final few minutes here as we react to Auburn's loss in game 1 of the Super Regional Series to Ole Miss, 6-4. You got to assume. So obviously Auburn now has to win the next 2 games. It is a typical 3-game series. You got to win 2 to advance. They showed the graphic during the TV broadcast. We're assuming it'll be Petrovic tomorrow who will get the ball for the Tigers, and I think that's what makes sense, right? Obviously, we saw Marciano pitch on Monday, so going into it, we assumed he would be the game 3 starter. So, I'm guessing it'll be him and Jackson Sanders if he gets to that point. There's also an argument for Hetzler, but to me, like I'm still not worried about the pitching. You're gonna have to have your bats show up, and not only show up to get on base, but you're going to have to score runs. That's like, I know it's super obvious, super simple, but like that's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what the ours for pitchers between those 3, whether it's Petrovic, whether it's Sanders, whether it's Hetzler, I feel confident going into this one because what we saw at the end of last weekend, all of those pitchers stepped up and bounced back. They faced that adversity. Now with their backs against the wall yet again, have to win the next 2 games. It's hard to be any team 2 times in a row, let alone Auburn, what they've been this year. So, I feel really good if the bats can wake up. I mean, this is a game where Chase Fralick didn't get a hit, where Bingaman didn't get a hit. The 2 best players of the regionals were over in this game. Everybody else kind of got a little bit of volume, but the 2 that really stepped up in the regionals last week fell a little bit flat. If that changes tomorrow, then everything's back off the table.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that's the case. And, maybe we'll see an outing from Petrovic where if the bats do falter and just put up 4 runs, like, is there a chance that Auburn's pitching keeps it under that? I mean, I think that would be ideal. I think that's plan A, but we'll see how they respond. I said going into this that it would go to 3. That was my prediction, is Auburn in 3. I did, however, I thought Auburn would win tonight because Alvarez was on the bump. That is not happening. I still think this goes to 3, but I mean, it's gonna be tough to win twice in a row. Obviously, but we'll see what this team's made of. I mean, it's put up or shut up now.
Let's assume that Petro goes 5 or 6 solid, right? Maybe gives up a couple, but keeps it in there. Batting is normal, and maybe it's a close game. What scenario does it go to Hetzler? What scenario do you think it goes to Sanders in tomorrow's game? Because it's a winner go home kind of situation.
I think you'll see Sanders tomorrow. If it's the true, just like we're one pitcher's throwing the first part of the game, one pitcher's throwing the second half of the game. I think it'll be Sanders, because what they both pitched on Sunday, correct?
Yeah. Well, didn't Sanders close out Monday?
I think Cormier.
You're right. He did. It was Cormier.
Which is actually a little interesting that we saw him tonight then. So
you're right.
We've seen Sanders appear earlier in the weekends traditionally, but we have seen Hetzler be behind Petrovic. I don't know why that would matter.
Right.
But that is what we've seen. I think it'll be Sanders personally, but I don't think I think they'll have that predetermined going into tomorrow. The coaching staff will. Don't you agree? Like, I don't know what the circumstance would be to like pick one over the other.
Yeah, I mean, Sanders struggled early in the regionals a little bit, but had adversity. Hetzler was just outstanding. So if your back's against the wall and maybe you're in a rougher situation, do you go with the hand of Hetzler, who has been really solid and doing that 3-inning save and then immediately bouncing back in that game to help them get the win and stay alive? That's why I'm going like, okay, maybe does Butch feel a little bit more confident in Hetzler, and in a game where you have to get it to Sunday, do you push him there? That's why it's like, maybe I go for that one.
Yeah. So, yeah. Integrity Sports Podcast saying big Auburn lead, you go to Hetzler. If you're losing or tied or a close game, you go to Sanders.
Man, I'm almost the opposite there, which is weird, but so I guess it really doesn't matter then.
They're both good. Like, I don't think one of them is like significant. I don't think one of them is better than the other. I think they're both pretty good in that role.
I just think Hetzler's the hotter hand.
Season's on the line. Who do I want? And as we have this conversation, I mean, we think about like, all right, the season was on the line, and who stepped up the most in the pitching staff? And it was Hetzler this past weekend.
Yeah.
You can make an argument for both. They're both good. I think it'll be Jackson Sanders. I don't know if I prefer one over the other.
Yeah, I mean, I have full confidence in all of those pitchers. I mean, in Petro, in Hetzler, in Sanders, in Marciano too, because of what he did at the end of that series. So, I mean, if they can get to Sunday, I feel really confident with our pitching staff. You mentioned it. It's just the bats trying to figure it out. Speaking of those bats, what do you think about McCrane playing DH? What do you think about Carter being in the lineup instead of Belza? That was interesting to me.
Yeah, Noodle saying, why did they take Belza out? I did not like that decision personally. How did he?
Belza was hot during the regionals.
Yeah. I mean, Bristol scored 2 of the 4 runs tonight. So, like, I don't know if you can really poke at that, but
he got on base. He was 1 for 4. He had 2 runs. Yeah, I mean, I'll take that, but
yeah. So, I mean, was that the wrong decision? Like, I guess not, but I was surprised with that. And I think Belza kind of had a sneaky solid regional for what he is, for like what that role is supposed to be, that 9-hole. So I don't know. I would like to see Belza there tomorrow personally.
Yeah, I would too. I think I would like to see Belza back in the lineup. And if you want to keep Carter in there, fine. Maybe give Cade Bellew a day off. I know he's had some troubles with the strikeouts lately. If McCrane's willing to go back to right field or move himself to center and you put Carter over the right, that would be fine. But I think you get Belza back as the DH. Last time we spoke on a reaction show, we said we thought the DH question was answered with Belza. And then immediately game 1 of the Supers, he's not the DH.
Yeah, I just don't know why they changed that up. You kind of found like you had something going, you had momentum. Why tinker with it? I didn't love that decision. I mean, Butch Thompson, I trust him, but sure. I was pretty surprised by that move, but we'll see what they do tomorrow. I mean, I bet they don't change it, but it'll be fun to see what the lineup is tomorrow when that drops. And
couple hours,
12 hours, 16 hours,
Yeah.
something like that. So, cool. Christian, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Auburn Roundtable, where we're talking Auburn sports right here during reaction shows for baseball, and joining you on Locked On Auburn, and of course, auburndaily.com.
Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.